This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race recap show for All-Stars Season 8, Episode 10, titled The Letter L. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one sapphic co-host from the podcast. Pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
I love lesbians!
to Mr. Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor.
Hey, Joey B, how you be?
I be good. What is?
You must be behind on Pod as my co-pilot, because we talked about you this week, and I was asked of my co-host that I refer to you as Joey B at least once.
Oh, well, I do, people do this with Afterthought stuff, and I do it with Pod as my co-pilot. Is one of these shows that I'll build up like 8, and then I listen to all 8. And I'll be honest with you, I'll probably run out because, I'm in this extended stay hotel for reasons that if you want to know, go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. But I'm under house arrest. But I actually don't have a lot. Like, I now have so much free time on my hands after today, especially, that I'll probably be listening to it. And I'm done with this concocted Tears of the Kingdom. That I'll have all this free time on my hands. So I'll probably be all caught up on Part of My Co-Pilot very, very soon. By the way, before we get into this, I'm not going to... Patreon.com, go there, support. I got to tell you something. Thank God it happened on this episode.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be going without a script today. I'm making up a script, I have my notes, give a vague idea, and it's always the same format and stuff. But I got this outline today. Let me check on my phone. I got this. Okay, so the way it happens is producer Luke Stamen will share a document with me, okay? And it will be the outline. Then I take that outline, I turn that into a script. Okay, and he finishes it sometime about midday my time usually. So again, midday my time, I get an email from him. And it says, just so you know, the outline is ready. And I was like, okay. And then I waited a while. And then I go, okay, where is it? And that was, Taylor, 3 hours ago. I don't know where this outline is. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but I have a suspicion of something. But anyway, but you know what? Luckily on this episode, I think I can wing it. Let me see. I'm going to try. I'm going to have to go slowly. But I think I can do it. All right. This week, the girls perform in a mini challenge where they have to do their best Jean-Paul Gaultier inspired look. For this week's Maxi Challenge, the girls have to make over some lesbians. In the end, Candy Muse was named the top All-Star of the week, leaving Jimbo and Jessica Wilde in the bottom 2. For this week's Lip Sync Assassin, it's Canada's Drag Race winner Priyanka, who went head-to-head in a lip sync battle for their legacy against Candy Muse. Priyanka was named the winner, and after a tie vote, the decision went back to Candy Muse, who revealed that she had chosen for Jessica Wilde to be sent home, leaving her and Jimbo in the final 2. Taylor the Latte Boy, give me the thoughts on the lip sync, and did the right person go home?
Well, we want to welcome new listeners to Afterthought. This is just a taste of the fine audio content you can get.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is I know, but that is the most That is the most scripty part of this episode, I think.
Right.
That is the most
Right.
scripted part of this episode. I think everything else I think I can wing every other part of this episode. We'll see. We'll find out.
We'll find out. Okay, so what was my question? Did the right person win the lip sync?
Yeah, what did you think of the lip sync, and did the right person go home?
Well, I think that the lip sync was clearly won by Priyanka. Candy Muse, I will give her props for her performance for the Maxi Challenge this episode, but she is just not a great lip syncer. She is just somebody that if I just open my mouth as loud as I can, then I think that makes me look like a drag queen. And whereas Priyanka gave, variations in her performance. There was highs, there was lows, there was dancing, it was just so much better. So yes, I definitely think Priyanka won the lip sync. Did the right person go home? I'm surprised that anybody went home. The fact that they're going to actually just have a top 2 is odd to me. But I guess storyline wise, it makes sense that Jessica would be the one to go home, unfortunately.
There's a lot of weird things happening in this episode. I was talking to someone today who they made a really good point is they usually do this makeover episode when there's like 5 or 6 queens.
Yeah.
Like it's very odd to see it with just 3 queens making over 3 lesbians. And so, or usually like a top 4. Like, I don't know, there is something disconcerting about only 3 of them.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about Candy not being a good lip syncer, I agree with you, but there is this sort of idea in the Reddit community, which is the least trustworthy community of all time, that she is a good lip syncer, and I don't know where that comes from.
I don't really know. I think that you have people that just like her because they look at her as the underdog because there's so much Candy Muse hate in the community. So you got these people that no matter what she does, that they will be there for her, whether they think that it is, just because she is a fighter or because she is a person of color or because of her size or whatever it is, that maybe they feel like they have to defend her no matter what. And then that is one of those where she can do no wrong. We all have those queens that anytime they perform, you're excited. And that you just have that where like everything they did is just amazing. Actually, though, now that I say that, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that would be mine. But that may be where this comes from, is that you're seeing people on Reddit that are just that they are going to be Team Candy no matter what.
So yeah, also if anything, I feel like the energy she was giving for that lip sync. I don't think she was bad at the lip sync. I just think Priyanka clearly beat her.
Yeah.
Okay. But the energy she was giving was a weird energy in that I think Priyanka, one of the reasons she was so good was she chose their energy, the way she did the lip sync matched the song. Candy was trying to do it was a hodgepodge of like high kicks and sultry. And I don't know that this song was a sultry song. And I think that was sort of my thing where like, it wasn't bad. She was fine, right? Priyanka was just very good, and so was clearly the winner. Did the right person go home? I mean, if we're gonna go based on that Candy won, and you have to choose between Jimbo and Jessica. I mean, unfortunately, even though I would have preferred a finale with Jessica and Jimbo, in this case, I'm gonna have to say, the right person went home. I mean, I don't think Jimbo should have gone home. So. Yeah,
that would have been a gag if after this whole season of we have an alliance and we're watching each other and I don't know if I can trust her and all of that sort of stuff, to have that where she would have had Jimbo's lipstick, that would have made the whole episode worth it.
Well, I will say, well, this is a question for Robert. I wonder if they've ever had a tie before in the cast vote. Have they? Do you know?
Yes. They did.
They have.
Alexis Michelle was the lip sync assassin because she initially read one name and then she went, but hold on, Rue, there's a tie. And she pulled out the other lipstick. I don't remember who was up for elimination. And that Robert might remember that, but it has happened one time before.
And did it go to the other person to name the person, or did RuPaul do it?
Yes, because they thought that they wouldn't have to vote, and then they found out they had to vote, and they were pissed. Let me look that up while you're talking.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then I was gonna say, I wonder if they were able to manipulate it so that whoever Candy voted for, they could adjust whose right it was. But if that's the rule, that's the rule. I guess they were. I find it surprising that they were willing to let Candy control the show like that, because if they would have sent Jimbo home and it was a Candy Jessica finale, I think they would have been pissed off. Anyway, all right. Well, after Alexis's elimination, the girls go back to the workroom and Jimbo removes the lipstick from the mirror. The girls look at the box where it was unanimous for Alexis to go home, and then they de-drag. Did anything else really happen in that opening part?
Well, I guess the thing that sort of bothered me was that they were talking about, well, why did you pick Alexis? And I believe it was Jimbo said, well, track record. Well, the track record was everybody has one win. But of course, Alexis was in the bottom more, so maybe that's what she meant by that.
Somebody brought up, I think it was Candy said that she voted for Alexis because Alexis lied to Lala Ree or something.
Yeah, that yes, she did.
Which was funny because it was lying to Lala Ree to save Candy.
No, and that thought went through my head too, is the fact that she voted for somebody after Candy got saved. That, yeah, I agree with you on that.
I also wonder, Jimbo's been kind of reluctant to talk about this elimination. So then the next day, the girls come into the workroom, and then RuPaul enters to announce this week's first mini challenge in a long time. It's Jean-Paul Gaultier bottle transformation, where they have to transform. They have to make a look, design a look in a very quickly that evokes the idea of Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any thoughts on this mini challenge, Taylor?
I thought it was interesting that well, first of all, I mean, Jean-Paul, that bottle has been around for decades at this point.
This is that blue, the men's one or a female
the
one?
The men's one. So I thought it was an odd, okay, and the fact that it was all about Jean-Paul Gaultier, but they didn't really explain who Jean-Paul Gaultier is. They didn't show any pictures of any of his amazing fashions. And I mean, he was famous in the 90s for designing all of Madonna's outfits for her tours. So the fact that
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Oh.
I believe so. Yeah, he is. He's 71. So.
Oh.
So just the fact that nothing was really talked about as far as that goes was odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also found it interesting that they showed where they said they had 45 minutes. So all the girls did the quick drag, and then they designed these outfits, which I don't think for a second that it took them for only 45 minutes to do all that stuff. But then they showed all of them with no makeup on. So they filmed this and then gave them all time to de-drag and take all the makeup off their face and everything. Especially
when they did the, you're talking about when they did when they brought in when they did the Maxi Challenge announcement.
Yeah, when they announced the girls. So it almost made me think did they just sort of announce who was going to win before the girls did that? It was just a very, it's one of those that I noticed and thought, well, that's odd. Specifically because a lot of other times when they do those quick drag challenges, afterwards they have them all stand there, looking like fools, all standing in a line with their, hooker makeup on. So I just, that took me by surprise.
Yeah. I never noticed it. I wonder if it's one of those things where that was the morning and they did a lunch and then they came back and did the Maxi Challenge, or another way they could have done it, they just could have announced the Maxi Challenge first. Not first, but done the Maxi Challenge and then brought the girls in, then the lesbians leave and then they do this mini challenge and then there's lunch. Who knows, right? But that's a good catch. I never thought of that. Jean-Paul Gaultier, I love the scent of that, but I would never wear it. I would never buy it, and there's a reason. But I'll tell you that in a second. But what is your relationship? Do you have a relationship with the Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance?
My dad used to wear it. My dad used to wear it in the 90s. So that is what when I see the bottle, it reminds me of my dad because it is such a distinct bottle that he's never changed, that frosted blue glass with the stripes across the front of it. So
and it's a men's torso, right?
Yeah, it's a man's torso that I remember because I remember once I was in my dad's bathroom when I was home for a holiday and saw it and thought, like, that's gay cologne. Why does he have gay cologne? Just because Jean-Paul Gaultier was so, like, you know, Madonna and everything was just very sexual and very in your face. And so, so yeah, anytime I see the bottle, it reminds me of my dad. I couldn't tell you what it smells like. I feel like it's a very light, like a citrusy smell, but I don't know that for sure.
I don't have the scent vocabulary to give that. But what I will say is, and I wonder if you have a story like this too, but I have a lot of stories like this, where I was in love with this person in college, right? In love. Taylor, in love with him. I mean, the stories I have about my love for this straight guy and the way he fucking cock teased me are so tragic. They're tragic. And now, years later, he is such a fucking greasy slime ball that I am like, I cannot believe I was in love with this man. The way my heart was sick over him, right? Like literally, he might be my first like real heartbreak. And he fucking drowned himself in this Jean-Paul Gaultier. You know, they say this sometimes where like you could smell the person walk in the room before they do. He was definitely one of those people. Like he put so much on, like he'd be walking up, we worked together. He would be walking up the stairs. I would smell him when he was 30 feet down the hallway.
Yeah.
And I think I will always associate that scent with him. Is there anybody though that you had it big in the pants for like that, where you're like, what was I thinking?
Christian Dior Fahrenheit cologne. It is, I just looked it up to make sure that it was Christian Dior. I'm looking at the website now. It had notes of mandarin, violet, and leather. And my best friend in high school, who I was secretly, well, not so secretly in love with because I was a crazy psycho, used to wear that. And you don't really see them selling it anymore. However, they do sell Christian Dior perfumes and colognes at the France pavilion at Epcot. So anytime we go in there, I grab the bottle and I just like, it's like poppers. I basically jam the thing up my nose and it immediately.
Oh, so you want that smell?
Oh, that smell is amazing. It's a very heavy smell though. So it's definitely would be a smell that you would wear in the winter time.
Okay. What? Who knows as much about what are you talking about? There's certain scents you wear in the winter time, in the summertime.
You wear lighter scents in the summer, and then you wear heavier scents in the winter because you don't want something that's like weighing you down and cloying in the summer because then it doesn't feel good. Whereas you wear something that's like citrusy or floral in the summertime. Unless you live in Florida, where you can wear whatever you want all year long. But it's too hot here to wear something like to wear a cologne like this. But our listeners of a certain age may remember this, but it's called Fahrenheit, and it's a bottle it looks sort of like an amber bottle that goes into dark, like a dark red up at the top. And I absolutely I'm like blushing now thinking about it. It is, yeah, I might need to order some Fahrenheit tonight.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I didn't know.
That'll be my poppers. I'll just occasionally smell it. Just be like, okay, I'm in the mood now. Let's go.
But did you ever have a thing with a straight guy where he fucking teased you like that and stuff like that?
I'd like to say my best friend from high school, but he eventually ended up gay and we had sex.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Not really. Not really. I tended to like everybody. I worked in the mall all through high school. And then I worked at a place where it was all gay guys. So I've never really worked with anybody that was straight and that would do the cock tease thing to me.
My whole college sex life was which I am not saying this as a weird brag. I regret this, and it always led to pain and heartache was just hooking up with straight guys. If any young queers are listening to this, let me tell you something. Don't fall in love with a straight guy. It will always lead to pain. Anyway, yeah, it may seem appealing and seem hot, and it is in the moment, but like it's never good. Yeah, this guy though was actually it wasn't just like a lust. It was a combination of lust and like literally in love with him. And he was very attractive, very handsome, and he loved the attention. And so we never hooked up, but boy, did that boy push the line. Like he would ask me to give him massages, and he would get on his stomach, and he'd want me to like, get on his back and give him a massage. I remember one time where we were like literally cuddling in bed. So then we chose to live together because he was like, I want you to be the first thing I see in the morning. And like one time at a party, like said, come here, and came in the bathroom, like, and he whipped out his huge dick, and he wanted me as a gay man to judge his dick. And then like I wouldn't say we had a threesome, but there was like a threesome cuddling event. It was this queen. I mean, not a queen, completely straight, 100% straight. Trust me, when I tell you this. But like he just loved to be worshipped, And,
this isn't the guy, is it?
God, college is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, college is definitely a thing. College is absolutely a thing.
Okay, so why don't we do this? So everyone listening, it's going to be a hard break. I'm not going to even try and edit this in a suave way. We had a very intimate talk right now that only made it on Patreon. So if you're listening on the public feed, go to the public feed. Go to Patreon, subscribe to hear this story. But why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of the episode.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Dear Colgate, I love that you love that I love being at home. You even let me whiten my teeth from home. Because you know how I feel about getting up from my cloud couch. The Colgate Optic White LED Kit gives professional-level results in just 10 minutes a day for 10 days when used as directed. And that's why, Colgate, I want you to meet my parents. Because ever since meeting you, I've been living life to the brightest. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
We are back. I gotta tell you guys something. Taylor just accused me of being on drugs.
I did not accuse you. I inquired if you were on drugs right now.
So, in this extended stay apartment, like, it's just a really nice setup. And like I'm doing this, like, not in darkness. There's a light on, but it's a very like, when you see a TV show about them doing podcasts and like a mood light on, that's what it looks like right now. It feels like. So I think maybe that's sort of inspiring it. Yeah.
So it's very, and I don't know if people will get this reference, but it's very like Pump Up the Volume, where Christian Slater was sitting at his desk and he just had the one little desk light on, but he was in the dark bedroom and was sort of talking, smoking a cigarette, and just kind of rambling on about all sorts of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Anyway, so let's actually get back to the show. All right. So they do the mini challenge. I have no thoughts. What's funny is I don't know anything about shit. But I looked at Jessica Wilde and I'm like, that one actually looked pretty good.
Yes, she should have won. That was the best of the three.
She did win, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then they announced the Maxi Challenge, where they bring in 3 lesbians. I don't know. Like, okay, I know one of them was Amanda Faye, but I don't know what her drag name was, but I like Amanda Faye better. Not better, I mean like the name to say better. Then we have Cookie Muse. What was the other one's name?
Well, there was Sissy Delicious. No, that was Amanda Faye.
That was Amanda Faye, yeah.
So, and then Cookie Muse and Kitty Wild.
Kitty Wild, okay.
Yes. Because she kept making her do the meow thing with,
that's right.
the claw.
Kitty Wild. Okay,
yes.
So they bring them in, and Amanda Faye is like literally just your standard issue, stocky, lesbian Mexican lady, right? But we'll go back to her. I have a lot to say about Amanda Faye.
Okay.
Then you have whatever Cookie Muse's real name was, who is a very, very butch lesbian.
Yes.
And then you have Kitty Wild, who's, to me, actually in between. She's butch-ish, butch light, maybe, but another lesbian woman of some race, ethnicity, I don't know. Because a Mexican lady, a white lady, and then question mark. I don't know. I got Asian, maybe?
Yeah, I got Filipino. That was, yeah.
All right, so then the challenge is that to make them over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have some thoughts here. I have notes here. Oh, I have my phone on the paper here. I had my drugs on top of the paper. First of all, I want to be known. The first thing I wrote here on this, I love every single one of these lesbians. I love them.
Yeah.
I love every single one. I don't know what your thoughts were, but I loved every single one.
They were great. They were great contestants. I was worried that Amanda Faye was going to... Actually, I was worried more that Kitty Wild was going to be the one that didn't want to wear heels and didn't want to do this and didn't, because she was very, very shy and introverted. But I thought that they all were game for whatever the queens wanted to do with them.
Well, we'll come back to this, but I think Kitty Wild didn't wear heels.
No, she wore like boots. She wore like a chunky boot. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's not really much that goes on in the workroom. I had a couple of questions though. There's a moment in. So let me see if I can do this. In the workroom, the girls get to work trying to match the styles with their partners.
Mm-hmm.
Candy has pre-made dresses. Amanda doesn't want to be a clown, and Kitty doesn't want to wear heels. I want to get to the Candy thing here. How did she already have pre-made dresses?
They, from what I understand, is that a lot the girls know that there will be a makeover challenge at some point. So a lot of them bring matching dresses with where it's something that can be altered if necessary, so that way they are prepared for that. So I'm positive that's what she did. Is at that point where she already had the dresses made.
Oh, how interesting that worked out. Now, the part I didn't get, and I don't know how to say this, because I get what the show was doing. They didn't do anything wrong. That's how they do it. It's how they've always done it. But they've had their thumb on the scale so much this fucking season that why couldn't they put their thumb on the scale enough to at least, so like poor Amanda Faye had to keep saying like, that won't fit me, that won't fit me, that won't fit me, that won't fit me.
Right.
Like maybe like Cookie and Amanda should have been switched.
I actually at one point thought that, because if you're going for a sisterly look, that would have made more sense, because both Amanda and Candy are sturdy gals, and you've also got where Cookie and Jimbo are very tall and, have kind of the same square, like a square jawline and that sort of stuff. And then Jessica and Kitty, that one made sense to me. Like when they were going down the line, I thought, oh, well, they're putting them in the order of them. No, they weren't standing in the same order, but I'm like, that's the way that should be. If you're going for the sisterly, they always talk about, when girls look a lot alike each other, then that always seems to score in the girls' favors. So, yeah, I agree with you on that, because that did seem a little, I felt bad for Amanda because she had to go on TV and just say, yeah, none of these dresses are going to fit me.
But I will say, I don't know what it was. I can't explain it. I can't articulate it. I loved Amanda Faye. Why did I like her so much, Taylor? Tell me.
I don't know. I actually liked Cookie the best.
Oh, Cookie was great too.
Yeah.
Cookie was great too. I like them all, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think I first saw Amanda, I'm like, I'm not gonna like this fucking bitch. She calls herself Amanda.
Yeah.
But then there was just an energy about her that I found very pleasing. I really liked her energy. And same thing with Cookie. I'll be honest with you. I also thought like, oh, this bitch, right?
Yeah.
And then I actually really, really, really liked her. Okay, do you have any other thoughts on the workroom? Just the workroom, not the table visits, just the workroom.
No, I think I've said everything I need to say about that.
Okay, moving on. RuPaul entered the room, or into the workroom for some table visits. RuPaul asked questions about Candy's mom. RuPaul says we celebrate fat women here, and then Jimbo gives Amanda Faye a high five. All right, these are all based on my notes because I have no outline. Everyone weigh in here. No, Taylor, your thoughts on the table visit?
Again, the table visits are very standard. They're very cookie cutter to what we've seen in the past. I agree with you when she said, we celebrate all body shapes here. I'm thinking, no, you don't. But I thought sort of the same thing.
What are you talking about? On the U.S. version, has a big girl ever won?
No, a big girl has never won. They've come close a couple of times.
Because the big girls won in the UK, right? Because there was that.
The Lawrence Cheney.
Yeah,
is a big girl, and Danny Beard considers themselves to be a big girl. So
yeah. They're pretty big, but but for the most part, they haven't really had. In fact, the Darian Lake, they booted her right away.
Right.
Who else is a big girl? Well, I mean, Candy's still there.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah, they're not good at big girls. I don't know we love all shapes and sizes here. Like, no, you don't. What are you talking about? So during the table visit, Candy is there with Cookie, and they're talking, right? And Candy's like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And I really get along. She's a butch lesbian, and I really get along with her because my mom's a butch lesbian. And RuPaul's, she is? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, my God, well, that's perfect. Whatever, right? And I'm like, wasn't Candy in the finals for her season?
Yeah.
But did they talk to Candy's mom I gotta look that up.
She doesn't remember Candy's name, let alone that they saw Candy's mom.
I know, but I was just like, I mean, like, you can at least, maybe a producer should have told her, like, yeah, you talked to the mom at season 13's finale. And she's like, oh, okay.
And she probably forgot that fast.
But I don't know if she did or not. I'm just making that up. I could, and I'm telling you, Robert and the rest, Robert has already corrected me. I have to apologize to the audience. So last week, I was like, Lori and I were analyzing this joke about Escandalo, right? Where and Alexis Michelle says, the real Escandalo would be if you actually won this season. And Lori and I were like, what is Jessica known for playing Escandalo or something like that? So Robert corrected me and said, no, that Jessica's not known for saying that, but that RuPaul in her season, for some reason, associated the word Escandalo with Jessica Wilde and would constantly say it, and that Jessica's sort of taken it up since.
Yeah.
But that's where that came from. But I didn't know that. All right. Any other thoughts on table visits, Taylor?
No.
Okay. So then what happens is RuPaul says, oh, and one more thing. See, they add that stupid lip sync. They always do this in the makeovers now, where they have to make them lip sync, right? For no apparent reason. She goes, you're going to have to lip sync. And then Jimbo, goes, we've got this, and high fives Amanda Faye. And I'm like, oh, does Amanda Faye know he's a horrible lip syncer? And then he goes onto the main stage for their weird choreography session that went nowhere. And he's like, you got to do this. And I'm like, she has no idea she should be doing the opposite of whatever this queen is saying.
Right. Yeah, she's hopefully if she saw her lip syncing, she would have gone like, "Oh, I'm in trouble, so I have to do something else."
Yeah, those are all the notes I have for table visits. I don't know if we really missed anything. I you know what, guys? I'm going to say this right now. I'm sure I'll get the outline at some point, and I'll look it over, and I'll rewatch the episode. And if there were big points of oh yeah, why didn't we talk about this? We're actually going to talk about Run right now in a second. We can cover it. That's the beauty of having two shows about this show. Anything I missed, I can just do on Rulaska Thoughts. Anyway, it's elimination day and the girls get ready for the runway. The girls have a talk. The girls get to reveal the makeup to their partners and everyone's happy. But there's also a very frank discussion about the use of the word dyke and the use of the word fag and whether it's comfortable. Taylor the Latte Boy. So the question is to a lesbian, is it okay for a gay guy to say dyke? And I think they don't really address it, but is it okay for a lesbian to say faggot? What are your thoughts here?
I think I agree the most with Jimbo on that there has to be intent. If your intent is to joke around with somebody that you are obviously close to, I don't think that there is a problem with saying that. But if you are using it with venom, if you're using it to try to degrade or demean somebody, absolutely not. That is not okay to say that.
Which is weird because when I call Lori a dyke, I have both intentions. No, I actually do not call Lori a dyke. I actually stay away from that word.
So do I. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily, it's like an ugly word to say. Kind of like, I think I've gotten over it with cunt, but I used to feel the same way about cunt. For some reason, I hate saying cunt, but I like cunty.
Well, I think that cunt has gotten overused, especially for those of us who are big into like Drag Race and that sort of thing of where, we're serving cunt and we're doing all of that sort of stuff. So you don't necessarily have that. I remember a time that if you called somebody a cunt, like everybody in the room gasped because it was like such a horrible thing to call somebody.
Yeah.
But we've sort of become desensitized to that word. So what about the use of the word faggot? If a lesbian were to call somebody a faggot, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it goes to intent, but hold on, let's call Lori and see if she answers. She won't be able to hear you, but maybe she has an answer.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is it okay for gay guys to call a lesbian a dyke?
I mean, look, I think it's a personal thing. I think if a woman doesn't want you to call them something like a bitch or a dyke, I think that you have to respect that person. For me personally, I would say that context is key. So if somebody's like, "Oh, you fat dyke," I'm not gonna like that. But if you called me a dyke, I wouldn't be upset. If a friend of mine called me a dyke, I wouldn't be upset. So yeah, no, I don't find it offensive.
By the way, I've been thinking about you. I saw this clip of Dolly Parton.
Uh-huh.
And she was telling this story about how she wrote the song 2 Doors Down. Okay.
Okay.
Have you seen this clip on the video on air on media?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, and how the way I didn't know this song. Do you know this song, Taylor?
2 Doors Down? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the story of the song was she and her bandmates and the crew, they used to like to go to Howard Johnson's and have fried oysters after every show.
Okay.
And she was on some crazy diet where she just drank milkshakes. And so she was in the tour bus and she could hear them all getting together and laughing and drinking and eating the fried oysters. And she was sad that she couldn't do that. And so they were 2 doors down. That's how the song started.
Oh.
She was on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Oh my God.
You should have seen this Kelly Clarkson crying.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Kelly Clarkson is not fat.
I didn't say she was fat. I just said she was crying. You're the one that took it to fat.
Why was she crying? What was the reason?
Probably because she couldn't have fried oysters.
Okay. All right. So you're making it sound like she's so emotional when it comes to food.
I'm just telling you can look up the clip. I told no lies. Dolly's not crying. Dolly's just saying this is why I wrote the song. This Kelly Clarkson, tears coming down her face.
Does Kelly Clarkson need to wear secret suspenders to keep her pants up?
I don't know because they're a secret. But let me tell you something, you fat dyke.
How dare you call me fat?
All right. right. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you for answering the question for us.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye.
So anyway, we got the answer from a lesbian there. So you know what's weird is the problem is from a comedy standpoint. In a comedy standpoint, hard consonants make things funnier. Hard K's, hard G's, they're funnier. So
Hard R's.
Hard R's, hard T's and hard F's.
Yeah.
So first of all, just faggot used just in the right way, just from a humor standpoint, is very funny. But I also am a big fan of taking ownership of things. And I do like taking ownership of the word faggot. And often, not lately, I have started taking it to be like silly faggot, dicks are for chicks. But also, you know that shirt I saw once in Newport Beach? And there used to be, for Robert Mata, there used to be a commercial, I don't know if it's still around, where the Tricks rabbit would say silly rabbit, or they would say silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. And I saw this t-shirt in Newport Beach that was silly faggot, dicks are for chicks.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was the same story, this old cheesecake on a stick. So I think the word is a fun word to say. And I have a personal rule that if you can be called the word, you can say the word, right?
Yes.
So if someone can call me a fat pig, I can call someone a fat pig. If I can be called a faggot, then I can use the faggot.
Right.
And I realize people listening, they have a hard time with this. I mean, this is a very big controversy, even in the gay community. I find it empowering to use that word.
As do I.
Yeah. But I know there are a lot of people, and I understand their point of view, who don't find it empowering. But also, I've been called a faggot, and it's when somebody calls you that and it's not another gay person, it's extremely upsetting.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's not. No, that's a very nice way of saying that. It's not fun. No, it isn't fun at all.
No, I've had it happen. What's funny is the only times that I can remember that I've been called faggot have been times when I wasn't doing anything faggy. Like, I remember I was walking with a straight friend of mine in Laguna Beach, and we were just walking down the street, and he's not gay or gay looking. And this truck full of teenage boys were like, "Go home, faggots," which, by the way, if anyone knows, I don't know if it's still like this, but the history of Laguna Beach is very, very gay. So I don't know what I don't know what city they were fucking in. Any other thoughts on the use of the word faggot and dyke, you faggot?
No, I think we've explored that enough. Okay.
So then after that, we go right into Elimination Day. Well, not Elimination. We go into the looks. The looks were just... what was the category? Did they have an official name?
No, I think just family resemblance.
Yeah, drag family resemblance. Now, Taylor, you really liked their look. There were only 3 combined looks. There were 6 queens, but 3 looks. Any favorites? Any standouts? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you wanted to say?
I thought Candy and Cookie Muse looked the best out of all of them. I did just everything about that seemed to be where they seemed the most polished out of everybody's looks. I would agree that Jimbo's looks were very plain, and I thought her makeup that she did on Sissy Delicious was not as drag as it could have been. It kind of felt very department store makeup counter to me.
Yeah. Is that bad?
Yeah, for Drag Race, yes.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate what Jessica was trying to do with her outfit, but again, she didn't really match the boots the way that the boots could have been matched, or the heels. And they looked the outfits looked great initially, but after they moved a lot in them, they almost looked like they were starting to fall apart a little bit, like the big shoulder pads. Like, it just felt like they weren't as well put together as they could have been.
All right. Well, Vic, look, here are my thoughts. I thought actually everyone looked pretty good, and I feel it was a stretch during the critiques when they were saying things. I mean, there is a weird thing with Kitty Wild's boot. I thought that was really strange, and okay. Well, let's actually go. So then, what happened? Then they go to the lip sync, which was actually, for the most part, pretty fun. I actually had fun watching that lip sync. I usually hate them, but that one was actually kind of fun. And like I said, I really liked the lesbians on this episode. There was no I killed Judy Garland or the white guy that was aggressive. It was all just really fun people.
Yeah.
And I just really, really liked them. So I think that made the lip sync fun. They were willing to have fun. And so it was a nice little moment. I actually really liked it. But then we go to the critiques. And this is where the thing with the critiques drove me crazy. And it was a weird thing. And it was like, how are you critiquing these other drag queens for the faults of the people they were paired with? So with Jessica Wilde, they were like, oh, you look great. Except for those boots. Well, bitch, you don't think Jessica wanted to put her in heels? This chick clearly was like, I'm only going to wear these boots.
But that's a standard. They do that there's always something where, where your outfit that you gave to this person to wear. I remember there was one a while back where they put her in an outfit where like, that looks like something you could buy at the mall. But the sister that she was paired with was a very large woman, and she didn't have anything that she could put her in. And when they talked about it, she goes, well, you could have made her something.
Yeah, I could have made her something. And then the same thing with Jimbo's, where it was, something like that, where it was like, well, it was actually very similar to that. It was like, we don't like this outfit you chose for her. I'm like, yeah, she couldn't fit into anything. And it's not the woman's fault. It's like, that was just the reality. Why are you judging Jimbo?
Because it's all about the narrative. For all we know, they could have said something negative about Candy and her outfit, but they're not going to show that because they want you to believe that Candy is the winner. Even I did believe Candy was the winner.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
They need to give you a reason why Jimbo and Jessica are in the bottom. Even though there can only be one winner, but this episode, they have to spoon feed you, oh, well, they screwed up because the outfit was too plain and it was a boot instead of a heel. So therefore, clearly that's why they're going in the bottom.
Well, but here's the deal. Here's the problem we run into is I agree with you that Candy clearly was the winner. I agree with that 100%. But then there's this thing where it's like, well, she also had this sort of like a better palette to work with, we'll say. She was tall, she was pretty, she was young, and you're like, okay, well, it's a little bit of an easier palette to work with. But this does lead to my favorite thing in the show. So I pulled the clip, but I'm going to paraphrase. During the table visits, RuPaul is having a conversation with Cookie Muse.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about this use of the word beauty and blah, 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 blah. And Cookie talks about her difficult relationship with this. And then Michelle goes. So here you're going to hear the conversation with RuPaul. Then you hear a beep, and then what Michelle says on the runway. Here we go.
Okay.
I think a lot of butch women are scared to show that because we're just afraid that someone might say, oh, but you look so beautiful that way. And then you feel like, oh, well, don't I look beautiful or handsome this way?
Candy, this makeover is so fun. She looks so beautiful.
These fucking assholes. She's like, I don't like when I'm told I'm beautiful, and then you're saying I'm not the other way. And I know Michelle, I don't think Michelle had an ill intention, but it is funny they weren't more careful with that. And that was the language they used.
Well, okay, but she did also say, I don't like it when people would say things like, you look beautiful that way. There was no but, and it was just a statement of this vision in front of me, whom I've never seen outside of drag.
Yes, I know.
But I can see where you put the two things together, and it does make for a funny moment.
Yeah. Okay, so back on the main stage, Candy Muse is named the top all-star of the week, and this forces her to go ahead to lip sync battle against a mystery lip sync assassin. They pull the curtain up. They don't know who it is. That lip sync assassin is Priyanka. Is she from season 1, I take it? That season 1 of Canada?
Yeah, she's the first winner of Canada's Drag Race.
First winner of Canada's Drag Race. She comes out to go against Candy Muse in a lip sync battle for their legacies. The song, I believe, was Jumpin' Jumpin'?
Jumpin'
by Destiny's Child. In the end, Priyanka was named the winner of the lip sync. And she won the right to pull the lipstick of the girl that the cast had chosen. But in a surprising twist, there was a tie. And because of that tie, the onus of sending a girl home went back to Candy Muse, who pulled out her own lipstick and revealed that she had chosen to send home Jessica Wilde. Taylor the Latte Boy, any final thoughts on the episode?
I thought initially, we've joked about the whole Rue gasping for every time somebody gets sent home. And initially, I thought, like, she's got to be kidding right now with the big shocker sort of thing. But then she kind of jokingly played into it so that it was funnier then. But then when she had already explained the rules to everybody, as far as if there's a tie, then the winner has to come back up. And I feel like Candy was like thinking like, what? I have to be the one, like where that just felt so disingenuous at that point that it irked me a little bit. That's all.
This show's a mess.
The show is a mess.
Yeah. Let me look at my notes here. I don't think I missed any notes. I think I said it and everything. All right. Look, here's the deal. Are you watching any, and before we go, we might as well ask, are you watching any of these other drag shows?
What, the other, the franchise with the other worldly ones?
Oh, yeah. Like Drag Race Mexico, Drag Race France, Drag Race Papua New Guinea. Any of these shows?
No, I'm not watching any of those.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Well, no, what I said before I say that is one of the things I didn't like. Well, I haven't watched the most recent episode of Mexico yet, but from what I've seen is they don't really have a storyline. So the shows often feel like just like a drag project runway.
Okay.
And that's what this show has sort of felt like now that they've really run out of storylines. It just feels like a drag project runway. And which doesn't make for an interesting show or an easy show to recap. Look, I did a fucking 10-minute thing about a guy I went to college with who smelled like Jean-Paul Gaultier cologne. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 8. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also watch video versions of the show and more over at youtube.com/dragracerecap. This podcast was produced by Luke Stamen. Taylor the Latte Boy has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Taylor on Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and TikTok at Joe Betance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Alex S., Anonymous, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Carter McKinnon, Corinna Williamson, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Elizabeth Timmer, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Kathy Zender, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Robert NYC, Robin Eganberger, Runner Brandon, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.